I put out this poll. It's received over 1,100 votes, which in my opinion is actually a pretty decent sample size to figure out what the general consensus is of the American people. Of course, I do have a very right-wing biased audience, but I simply asked, what should Trump focus on the most leading up to the midterms? You can see the options. 26% voted for arresting corrupt Democrats. That's going to be an important one, like I stated. Only 8% of my audience voted on immigration and deportations. 1% voted in favor of funding the wars of Israel and Ukraine. And then the economy and cost of living received 66% of the votes. And so the key takeaways there are first and foremost domestic issues. That's what it simply will come down to, because economic populism will always win elections, just like it did for Zohran Mamdani in New York City. He was the only guy talking about the plight of the middle class and low class New Yorkers. The only one talking about how he was going to lower their cost of living, and not just delivering on messaging, but giving a solid plan, even if it's one you disagree with heavily on and think it has no chance of working, because it doesn't. But the very act of Zohran Mamdani sitting there and stating, here's how I'll do it: free public transportation, freezing the rent raises, creating a federal grocery store chain to make your groceries cheaper. You can sit there all you want and say, socialism's bad. It's bad. Don't the youth understand? Prove it to them. And the only way you prove it to them is by letting them know how great capitalism is. But how can you show them that when we're currently in a quote unquote capitalistic society and Gen Zers will never own a home? And your solution to that is a 50-year mortgage? What we are in right now is the most grotesque form of democratic socialism mixed with hyper-capitalism. We have socialist bullshit now, like Obamacare, which is failing everyone. Combine that with the fact that we have hyper-capitalistic practices like 50-year mortgages on the horizon, along with 30% interest on credit cards. And yes, you can thank Democrats for that, but it doesn't matter anymore. You don't get to just sit there and blame Democrats 1 year into your presidency when you have complete control of Congress, Senate, the Supreme Court, etc. You get to blame Democrats for the first 6 months, but then we expect results after that. And you can say that it needs more time, but public perception is the only thing that matters. And perception is reality. Deliver the results by the midterms or face political obliteration via Republicans being ousted from their positions with extreme bias and disgust on behalf of the American people. Let's read your comments. First comment coming in from William Peterson, 2952. He should focus on handing out those $2,000 checks just prior to the elections. I'm actually going to tell you right away I disagree with that for a whole host of reasons. That is the kind of selfish thinking that the boomer generation before us would agree with and say. They're the ones that coined the term greed is good. They're the ones that would say, yeah, he should pay out all of America. That'll win votes. I got news for you. It won't win votes. $2,000 is like half a month's worth of pay for most Americans. As a result, you're only really paying for about 1 month's worth of rent or a week or two of groceries for the average American. That's not going to cut it. On top of that, Democrats hate Trump so badly that they'll very much so stick out their hand for that $2,000 paycheck. They won't say thank you, and they'll vote Democrat anyway. Here's what I actually want to see happen, and I know this is a very unpopular take. Use the money instead to start paying down the national debt like you promised. This is tariff-generated revenue we're talking about here. And Trump wants to hand out these $2,000 checks to Americans to not only hopefully buy some of their votes, but also to prove to them that tariffs work. I already know tariffs work. I'm a big fan of the tariffs, the Trump tariffs, because every other country in this world, especially the ones that were taking advantage of us, which were most of them. I'm okay with all of that. Oh, but it's a tax on the citizens. That's a basic economics 101 standpoint, and you're incredibly uneducated if you think that, because that is only a half-truth that you've learned off of Google. Do some research on what tariffs actually do and how they're handled when you have the top-tier free marketplace economy in the world. But furthermore, the tariffs are supposed to be implemented to then generate the revenue to pay down the national debt. The original plan of all of this from President Donald Trump was to implement these tariffs to replace taxing Americans. And that makes it even more permissible in the minds of more people. If it's an import tax, yeah, okay. It's also going to replace the IRS. Do you like that or not? I certainly do. So use that money to pay down the national debt. Do our economy and our country a favor as a whole, rather than trying to buy individual votes. It's not going to work. James Stetzer 650 says, If you get rid of immigration and focus on deporting 25 million illegals, this cost of food will stabilize itself in the following months. If you had any economics at all in school, you would know supply and demand. When there is a demand, the cost will go up drastically. And when there's not a demand, the price will stabilize and maybe, just maybe, will fluctuate to a point where it might come back down, but don't count on it. I believe schools should be taught economics as a main subject throughout the nation. Maybe we wouldn't be in this trouble. That I agree with. That is completely correct. And that is why I kind of disagreed with the polling results here when it came to immigration being the third priority, and barely that at all when it came to who voted on that. Only 8% of people in my voting pool decided that immigration and deportations is important. I actually think it should go in this order. The economy, cost of living should be number one. Immigration should still be number two, then arresting corrupt Democrats. And it should be 0% in favor of foreign funding. We just can't afford to do that right now. And those countries quite simply don't matter. America first, America only. But that is very true, and we do need to continue to deport all of these illegal immigrants who are causing the housing market to be overpriced, who are causing our groceries to be overpriced as well. He's completely correct on that. It is a supply and demand issue as well, but that's not the only issue. We have this comment from Cold Smoke 99. We already know that 0 corrupt Democrats will ever be arrested, so let's fix the economy. I'm with you on that, sadly. We have Kenneth's Low 5747. The truth about it is, the longer it all takes, the more than embedded they gonna get. Brian 3830. The main issue he ran on, and probably the biggest reason he won, yet he's made things worse than Biden. Worse, I would disagree with, but yeah, I agree overall. Here's another one. Mariana Bowerlane 9486. Send those $2,000 checks. And no offense to her, but that profile picture looks like a boomer to me. And that just once again goes to prove my point about the most selfish generation America has ever seen, the boomers. They coined the term greed is good. They want those $2,000 checks. That's what matters to them. It is time for the younger generations to be more fiscally conservative and responsible, to put our country first as a whole collectively, rather than viewing it as something to be exploited for our own benefit. Because if you ask boomers, the only thing they want is to retire in peace, collect on their Social Security, receive their Medicare, and hit the deceased line happily. That's where they're at in life right now. And when you talk to them about the economy and about how bad it is for young people, they go, oh, well, that's your problem to deal with. I rode my bike 2 miles to school, up hills both ways. You had it so easy, you crusty boomer. I don't even want to hear the stories anymore. And that's where we're at with that. Young people will have to collectively come together and decide to make sacrifices, in my opinion. We'll have to decide to make sacrifices like, we won't receive Social Security, so let's just get rid of it for the sake of the national debt, for the sake of our economy as a whole. Those are the kind of choices we'll have to make. And we're the superior generation, in my opinion, when it comes to morality and ethics, at least when it comes to putting America first. So very likely we will make that. We'll do what the boomers should have done. We won't put ourselves first because we can't afford to. William Bryson 1121 says, brothers and sisters, he's one man fighting against all of these corrupt Democrats and Republicans. The American people are tired of being robbed, and then we see the corruption firsthand, and then rules don't apply because they're politicians, and our country cannot survive with laws that only applies to we the people. That's correct. Two-tier justice problem. It's a major issue. Pam Bondi's not addressing it or dealing with it correctly. She needs to go. Nathaniel Weber 7843 says, make things more affordable if you want to get the independents on your side. Even a single arrest of a Democrat for seditious conspiracy, high treason, or incitement to violence would be enough to galvanize the base. Boy, oh boy, do I agree with that statement. That would be so wonderful. For 2026, we can and should expect the Trump administration to achieve all of that for us, in my opinion. That's what he was put in on a mandate to do, after all. Drain the swamp. Arrest the corrupt politicians, Democrats and Republicans. I don't care. Arrest all of them. Replace them with people who will serve the people. And then put Americans first and fix this economy. Fix the cost of living and affordability. You do that and the midterms are going Republican. You don't, and you will see all Republicans be ousted from their office. And I will smile if that happens, because they'll deserve it. Contention 100 says, do we want the leftist maniacs running this country? Neither do I. But that's exactly what's going to happen if this economy gets worse or is in the same state of dysfunction in 11 months. Trump should stop telling us how great the economy is and start dealing with reality. Wall Street is not Main Street. I got to give a big amen to that one. It's great to know the stock market's doing well. The stock market can be a great indicator for the strength of our country and our economy. And certainly Trump has improved the economy from a Wall Street perspective, which is good. But if Main Street's not feeling it, if the American people, the average everyday citizens, can't feel it or notice it, it serves no purpose when it comes to elections. Presidential dementia says we should sell our firstborn to other countries. It is our best move financially. Give that one a like. Starting to think you're right. Frank P says, I spent $60 in the grocery store yesterday and I came home with 2 bags. You cannot tell me that prices have gone down. I think you guys get the point. The economy is most important to Americans because economic populism, like I said, wins elections. That is what Trump needs to focus on heavily in 2026. He needs to ditch the warmonger philosophies. Venezuela, Ukraine, Israel. I'm not against any of that. I'm not against dealing with the Venezuelan issue with the drugs. I really am not. I don't even care when I see the boats being blown up. I'm not triggered by it. It doesn't bother me. I think it's actually probably a net positive for Americans to keep us safe from the poison that they smuggle into this country. So keep doing that. Fine. But if my cost of living doesn't go down, it would almost just be better if I was poisoned by Venezuelan drugs. If I can't afford to live, what good does blowing up drug dealers do for me? And that goes for Israel, Ukraine as well. And it goes for everything else. The moral of the story, the bottom line, 2026 goals for President Donald Trump. Fix our economy, fix our cost of living, fix our affordability, arrest some corrupt Democrats, and keep deporting illegal immigrants. If you agree with that statement, be sure to like this video and subscribe right now to American Advocates, unless you dye your hair blue, you're 300 pounds overweight, you think that the Venezuelan drug boats are full of fishermen, and you think Kamala Harris would be doing a better job right now. If that's you, be sure to dislike this video and never come back to this channel. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip, be sure to check out my YouTube channel where I have the full video where this clip was taken from published. And if you're America First like I am and you're an American advocate, be sure to subscribe and like the post. Thanks so much for watching.